And sit back and enjoy. We're going to show you some great things to look out for, not only when you're buying a new house, but maybe even in your current house. You've been in your house for 10, 15 years and plan on being there for another 30. Every once in a while, maybe 5 or 6 years or so, it makes sense to pay for an inspection to be done on your house. Not necessarily that anything's going to be majorly wrong with it, because you're probably pretty familiar with what the house needs and what's going right with it and wrong. But actually, to give you what I like to do for myself personally is use it as a punch list for maintenance items that I need to get done on my house. So sit back, relax, enjoy the inspection.
So looking at the water heater, we got water, cold water shut off, hot water and cold water connected correctly to the top. The saddle valve, probably feeding the humidifier. Yeah. And it's got corrosion on it. I don't recommend saddle valves. They are, I would say, a low quality valve, and they're notorious for leaking. So what I would recommend instead is for this valve to be cut out and have a T put in here by a plumber with a toilet style or sink style shut-off valve on it, so we don't have to worry about it being a likely leak. The cold water shutoff valve to the water heater has a pressure relief valve on it as well. So occasionally water will come out of this clear tube to relieve any pressure that's building on the cold water side. It can cause damage to the plumbing. This unit is a 40-gallon, 40,000 BTU. Some of them have recovery rate on them. This one does not. I would say probably a little bit more than an hour to recover a full tank of water. This water heater looks good, except for that little saddle valve leak, which really isn't the water heater. Smelling for any little gas leaks. I smelled a little gas around the control valve, so I'm going to verify a leak with a gas detector tool that I have hanging out of it. So that just needs to have the wires folded and tucked into the box and a cover. So this house is equipped with central air conditioning, which is installed above the furnace in this compartment here. Cooling lines are insulated as far as I can see. And it has a primary condensation drain to put the water that the AC makes into the floor drain below me. There is a secondary drain here that the manufacturer provides. I would recommend that be open and have a kill switch installed so that if the primary drain fails, water will hit the primary or the secondary shutoff and turn off the unit. That way we don't get water down inside the furnace, onto the floor, causing damage to the furnace, or maybe damage to wall studs, mold, that kind of thing. So both the furnace and the water heater are high efficiency. So here we're looking at the air filter for the whole house. This filters all the air going through the furnace and air conditioner. This one's fairly dirty. I'm going to kind of glance around, see if there's a new one around. I don't see one, so we'll put this one back in, but I recommend changing these every month. The cleaner these are, the more efficient your equipment's going to be, the cleaner it's going to be. Your air's going to be cleaner. So monthly change of the filter is what I recommend. This is the lowest quality Filtrete, which is a 3M brand. These are okay. I would not get anything denser than this unless you do have allergy or something like that. And then you really need to stay on top of that monthly change if you use a denser filter. Dense filters can cause restrictions in your airflow, which will result in overheating or actually freeze up of the cooling when you're air conditioning. But it can cause the furnace to overheat as well. See how this one's retained. This one they were using tape to tape it up on the side, straight up. I would recommend when the technician is out to work on the furnace, the water heater, maybe install a track that the bottom of the filter can sit in down here at the bottom of the housing, and then lay the filter over in that position right there. That way your air is coming down. It does have some drywall dust in it. So either the builder did not clean the furnace after they built, or when the basement was finished, the furnace did not get clean. So probably recommend it be clean just to get that really fine dust out of it. Dust can overheat components, cause computer boards in here to fail. Switches, pressures, limit switches. There's a lot of electronics in a more modern furnace like this. So we want to keep it clean. This is a Goodman, which is a builder quality unit. Expected life is probably, manufacturer probably says 20 years. Real-time use, probably 15 to 25. It really depends on maintenance. The blower motor itself is fairly clean, as is the blower. But with the fine dust in here, that's why we're going to recommend a technician come in and disassemble, clean, and make sure everything's okay. And I don't see any evidence of condensation leak, which is good. Sometimes these high efficiency units will leak from their collection system. It's a really slight leak. A lot of times these valves get recalled, so I would just contact a qualified technician, have them take a look at it. So we found a gas leak in the burner compartment of the furnace, which tells me that the control valve here is letting a little bypass. So we have a central humidifier. These are notorious for being unclean. Bacteria, even mold and things like that can grow in them. So we do recommend you change the pad frequently at the beginning of the heating season, and then probably 3 months in, depending on the condition of the pad. And when you're changing the pad, we recommend wiping all the interior surfaces with like a Lysol wipe, or spraying it down with Lysol, some kind of antibacterial, just keeping it as clean as possible. Up here we can see the pad. We can see the different mineral compounds that have been left behind by the water in the pad. The unit is functioning right now. When the furnace was on earlier, I saw water coming out the bottom of the unit, which is the design. Water passes through the pad and just goes down to the floor drain. It has a controller here. They have it set to about 30%, which is about as much as I would go, and keep it in good shape. So main thing is, if you're going to use it, keep it clean. If you're not going to use it, I would recommend removal and patching of the ductwork so that it doesn't become... Check the sinks. Make sure hot and cold is on the right side. Stoppers are working. Sinks are draining with no leaks. Check the window. Notice interior caulking is cracked around the windows. That caulking is cosmetic, and it's also to help reduce insect intrusion from the wall system into the house, and drafts. So we do recommend that be maintained. It's not really a service type item, but it's maintenance on the house. Check the tub, make sure hot and cold are on the correct sides. The hot should always be on the left, as we've got here. Check the drains. Water supply is good there. Check the shower for hot and cold. Definitely hot. Temperature is regulated at the water heater with the control valve. You might want to bring that down so that we don't have water that's too hot. Water more than 125 degrees can cause burns fairly quickly. So we recommend that it be kept lower. Drain pipes for leaks, I don't see anything here. I also feel all the joints to make sure there's nothing that I can't see. Fine, the shower's hot. caulking in the shower needs to be maintained and looks like it's in good shape at this time. I don't believe I'm going to be able to test this pump because I can't get into it. Let me see what type this is. It might have a vacuum switch, so I might be able to make it activate. My vacuum pressure here. Yeah. So there's a little tube in here, just a clear plastic tube that runs through the pipe or through the cord down to the pump. Create vacuum in that, it'll make the pump come on. So we'll give it a little suck. And there the pump came on. Let's see if it moved any water. Yes. It dropped about 3 inches because the top of the pump was buried before. Pump is operating. A couple things we recommend with pumps is to have the lid secured so a child can't get in. This one, because of the way the piping is, it's not real easy to get into it, so maybe not that important on this one. We also recommend an alarm that would tell you if the pump failed, water is coming up to a level where it could come out onto the floor. It would make noise before that happens. And you could have buyers have requested a radon test, so we set a monitor somewhat central in the basement. This monitor takes a reading every hour, and then it automatically averages those hours for an average. And that's the number that we use for EPA protocols. We can adjust those numbers if it looks like the test has been tampered with or conditions changed in the house which would falter the test. And we can see the individual hour reading as well. So it's a fairly intuitive machine, and it will be here for a minimum of 48-hour period. So this faucet here, this handle is not working correctly. It's supposed to turn 90 degrees only. It stops. This one will spin a full 360. Something's wrong there. So just checking light switches, light doors, making sure everything is functioning. So that lock might be a little tricky. Yeah. So these locks, if they don't line up exactly with the striker on the wall, they won't function. So a lot of times if you make them stick out part way first, and then close them, finish the lock, it'll work. So I'll recommend an adjustment on that because you shouldn't have to do that. It's not the correct way for that to be done. So we'll get a picture for my notes. And then we'll continue checking outlets. This house is built in 2009, so the outlets have built-in child-resistant devices. So these buyers will not need to install the plastic covers you can get at the stores and things. These have built-in child safety, so those are not necessary. Okay, so gas stoves, you have to make sure the burner components are on properly, otherwise the flame will not ignite or you'll get an odd flame pattern. So check those when you clean them, make sure you put them back on correctly. There we go. So we get all 5 going. Looks good. Check to make sure they don't turn off when we turn them on low. And then we'll check the convection oven. And we check to see if there's an anti-tip bracket on the oven, which it doesn't look like there is. So that's something that comes with the oven. It protects from a child climbing up the front of the oven, a unit coming over on top of them. So that should be installed. Check the vent. So this system is a recirculator system. It just takes the greasy air from cooking and the odor air through filters in the bottom of the microwave, and it puts the clean or purified air back into the house. The filters do need to be washed occasionally, and of course you want to wipe down cabinets and stuff because a little bit of that grease does get through. With a gas range, my recommendation is for it to be vented to the exterior. In the municipality we're in, that is not a requirement, but I do recommend it as an upgrade. So you might consider having a contractor see if they can modify this microwave to go outside. So we're going to check all the cabinets, make sure they open and close right. This one's got a loose screw. A lot of times since I've got this in hand, I'll tighten it down. Let's see how it works here. No charge for repairs. More cabinets to check. Check the sink for hot and cold. Check for leaks, the faucet underneath. Same kind of thing as we did in the bathroom. Hot is to the left, cold is to the right. This sink does have a disposal power switch. Like it's on the side here. I recommend minimal items down the food drain, or the food disposal. Really just want water going down that drain. And otherwise you get buildup in your sewer line, which can cause backups and problems. So we'll just recommend no food, or as minimal food as possible. Looks like we do have an active leak here underneath the sink. The disposal is actually split. It's cracked right here and right here. So the disposal unit is going to need to be replaced. There's no repair for that. So we'll get a picture and make our recommendations in the report for replacement. Okay. And then this drain is also damaged. We can see all the corrosion and whatnot here. If we look closely at this nut, it's actually split. The nut is broken. Well, there you go. So that can be replaced fairly easily. Same person that does this. This switch here is probably for the outlet here, so that you can plug the lamp in and hit it with the switch, and it makes it come on and off. And that's only for that top half. The bottom receptacle will always be power in this age of construction. So that one's constant power, this one is switched. They turn the outlet upside down to designate that that's a switched outlet as well. So that lock is working correctly. So we're going to test the microwave by melting an ice cube. You never want to run a microwave with nothing in it. It's bad for the device. So we'll do an easy minute and see if that microwave melts that ice. I'm going to check the floor in front of the dishwasher, see if there's any signs of leaks. This is a wood floor, so it will show fairly well if there's been any leaks. I don't see anything. I do notice this, when you open the door, a lot of times a little water will drip. So when you're done unloading your dishwasher, it's not a bad idea to take your towel or your paper towel and dry the floor in front of there. But I don't see anything that's an active leak. So we can see if the oven is making heat. It is. The convector's not on yet. So different models do different things. This one may require full temperature before the convector fan comes on. So we're going to let it cook for a while. Microwave has melted the ice. So our full ice cube is now. So just general exterior now. Gas meter. If you ever smell gas here, you just call the utility company. They'll come out and correct it for no charge on that. We're looking at drainage, which looks good. It has a good swale here. All the water's going to come forward. driveway. So I would consider building this back up so our rock is the same height as our driveway. We don't have a potential trip hazard. Surface deterioration of the driveway is not a problem except for cosmetically. Here we have a black pipe. This is the sump pump. You'll remember we talked about that earlier. So the injection pit, or the sump pump that's coming out, and it's putting the water here. I would bring this flexible line over to the lawn just so that it's really getting that water farther away. So this is the main electrical panel. All the breakers for the house will be inside this panel. Open it, we lift this device up. This one slides in, and then the door drops down about an inch, and it'll swing open. These are arc fault breakers. They are a fire protection device, and they're required on all general circuits in this age of construction. So they're all here. We're going to open this up and see how the wiring looks inside. Check for overheating, signs of overheating, incorrect connections, corrosion, those kind of things. Wires bent improperly, anything that could cause a problem with the circuitry or flow of current. Okay, so showed you how to open the panel. If you don't know how to open the panel, it won't open correctly because this door goes underneath the meter panel. The utility company puts a clip on this here to keep you from getting into the panel, or the meter I mean, which you could illegally tap into the power on the wrong side of the meter and take power without paying for it. You could also injure yourself or be killed because there's high voltage in there and you'd be exposed to that. So the utility company puts a clip similar to this yellow one here. They put a clip like that on here. With this designed panel, I see those clips cut off quite a bit because people can't figure out how to get them open. So we're going to recommend you contact the utility company to have a new clip installed. Make sure there's no incorrect connection. So here we're looking at a saddle valve, which is a poor device that likes to leak, and it's obviously leaked there from the corrosion. That's feeding a humidifier. It's above the water heater. I recommend that be cut out and have a T soldered in, and then a toilet style shut-off valve, or like a sink shut-off valve rather than that.
This area right here?
Yeah.
Because there's something built up. What is that?
That's water deposits. That's calcium from water leaking.
Is water dripping down somewhere?
It's not active
just,
right now.
Okay.
So most likely what's happened is those mineral deposits have sealed the leak, and so they're keeping it from leaking. But if we got in there and scratched that calcium off, you would probably start leaking. This is next to the furnace. Those wires need to be folded up, put inside the box, and a cover put on the box. Okay. So it's 50
Where do those go
cents. I'm not sure. Some circuit in the basement.
Okay.
Not really important what they go to, just that they're properly encapsulated. Okay. So we're looking at air conditioner, primary condensation. This is getting water out of the AC unit. If for some reason that primary condensation drain fails, the way this is set up now, the pan will fill with water, and then the water will go down in the furnace and cause damage. So right here is a secondary condensation drain. I would recommend that plug be removed and a kill switch be installed in there, so that if the primary fails, water hits the kill switch, shuts off the unit, and you call a technician for service. Okay, that's an upgrade. Of course, this is the furnace. A little dirty inside. I took my finger and wiped the drywall dust out of there, so you know it probably needs to be serviced, cleaned by a qualified technician. Okay. This is the gas supply system. So gas is coming into the house through black steel, and then we're distributing to the fireplace, the stove, the furnace, the water heater through yellow stainless steel tubing. So it's called corrugated stainless steel tubing. This unit is, or this device or product is susceptible to perforation if there were a lightning strike on the house or somewhat close by to the house. So the way that the manufacturer of the pipe is now recommending people do things is to have that cast iron, or that black steel, I mean, bonded to the electrical system, so that if there's a hit, it'll go through that copper bond rather than through the CSST.
So what's that mean by bonding that?
It's just a heavy gauge copper wire, and they'll run it to the electrical panel or to another bonded unit in the house, something else that's already grounded, so that that charge can go through that copper instead of through your car's
So they
headset.
hook a copper wire to this and run it to the electrical
Yeah.
to ground it?
To let it earth. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
This is the hall bathroom upstairs, the left sink. The cold water handle does not work correctly. These are 90-degree handles, so you grab it, you turn it 90 degrees, it stops. That's all it turns.
Right.
This one will actually turn 360
So it's like
degrees.
stripped or something.
Something's broken or it's stripped or something. So interior window caulking is cracking. That helps reduce drafts and insect intrusion. So we do want to maintain that. Of course, remove old material before we put in new. And the more money you spend on caulk, the longer it will last. So you buy the 50-cent tube, it's going to crack in a month. You know what I mean? You buy a good tube of caulk, it'll last a lot longer.
Is this throughout the whole?
Yeah, just
pretty much?
general. Yeah, and that's just house maintenance, type stuff. And then same thing, this is house maintenance type stuff. I'm noticing some dirt, maybe even a little growth occurring on that dirt in the windows areas.
Growth
and stuff.
meaning it's built up?
Some sort, no, growth meaning microbial growth of some sort, like a mildew or a mold, maybe. And I would recommend just having, cleaning properly.
Okay. And what do you mean clean? Who cleans them properly?
You can do
it.
it. Yeah, I mean I would think that's
Is
just
there
a Windex.
something getting in here?
It's
Is
just
it
dust.
Build up.
It's just dust,
Gotcha.
and then dust is a food source for that stuff.
Gotcha.
The house has a humidifier, so the air is more humid in here, which is
The
going to
house has a humidifier?
Yes, there's a central humidifier in the house. So it's going to, what can happen is that moisture,
Right.
cool location, because it's a window, and a food source. The only thing that's really missing is dark. Mold usually wants dark to really get going. But it's potential that stuff could start growing here, and then you start having
And that's
breathing
throughout the
issues.
house? Just clean
Yeah,
the area?
just clean the
Okay,
windows
gotcha.
up right, and then house maintenance. We do have carbon monoxide alarms where they're required. There's one on each side of the hallway in the second floor. There's one down in the basement, close enough to the bedroom. There's not one on this level. It's not required, but I think it's a good idea, especially at the gas range. Okay, maybe get one that plugs in and plug it in a minimum of 10 to 15 feet away. Yeah, plug into the outlet. Don't put it here.
Right.
They'll get false alarms. Put it on the other side of the room and go with that. Okay. This is the study exterior door. The lock doesn't quite work right.
Yeah, I
I had to
noticed
play
that.
with it, so that's just probably going to be an adjustment. A qualified technician will work on it. The garbage disposal is currently broken. It functions, but it's cracked, so it leaks. Water leaks out of these cracks. So I need to replace the entire
Did they have a
disposal.
bucket under there maybe before, and they didn't notice the leak?
I maybe didn't notice it. There is a little bit of staining on the cabinet base, but nothing. And this is kitchen sink drain as well. This connector's broken, so we have evidence of leak. No active leak at this point, but this connector is going to need to be replaced. Fairly easy. It's going to have to be disassembled anyway, probably to replace the disposal.
Right, so then they can do it at the
that.
same time.
That's your main water shut off, the green handle.
And that's
Shut
where you
that
showed
off.
me that area downstairs.
Yeah. So let's get a better door, easier access door on that, and then go from there. Gas meter looks fine. If you ever smell gas here, just call the utility company. They'll come out and repair it. Soil has settled a little bit, so the rock used to be even with the driveway. It's not anymore. Maybe think about bringing your soil up and then re-rocking a little bit to
So-
eliminate the trip hazard.
Okay, I noticed that too, and I know that it's on a
Pretty good
so
swale.
it's just starting to.
It's just sloughing down. There's a pump in the basement that kicks on automatically,
Right.
and it'll drain however much water's in there and just pump it. So it's really hard to say how much or how active it'll be.
Gotcha.
We do know it's active because there was water in the pit. This is the deck. Notice there's nails missing here.
Uh-huh.
So the nails that go in there go in at a 45-degree angle, and they hold this joist to this ledger or rim board so they don't separate. So I looked at the majority of it. That was the only spot. I just happened to look right
Just-
there, and I was
yeah.
lucky enough to find it. So, proper fasteners in there. Screws are not the proper fasteners.
No.
Has to be a joist near nail.
Okay.
Okay. Exterior caulking maintenance, same as interior. The only difference here is it also helps keep water out of the wall systems. When you have cracked caulking, we can.
So here's a few nuts and bolts things to know about home inspections. Number one, absolutely critical to get on any kind of property that you're thinking on buying at all, even if it's an older property that you're going to be fixing up, because some of the things that it can help you avoid is you'll find out, am I going to have to do those high dollar things like replace a furnace or a water heater, or worse yet, does the house have foundation problems? Again, I hope that you found that information helpful. And feel free to email me at chrisdavis1@remax.net if you have any additional questions about this inspection, your home inspection. If you even want a second opinion on what kind of things you should be asking for, feel free to contact me. Be happy to walk you through that in any way that we can.